What matters is the wealth and power. So that's where the unity needs to be focused on. Now, when it comes to Judge Mathis, this man said some cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs shit. He said some goofy talk, all right? I would say some anti-black talk. Because what he does is to try and divide a wedge between the black woman and the black man. Unfucking acceptable. Unacceptable. And him being a judge, he should know this. He should know better. Because what he tries to talk on is, summer of 2020 and the protests. He should know better that the protests aren't going to do anything, nor have they. Okay? That the protests aren't going to do anything, nor have they. They have never done anything prior to civil rights. And even then, you can look in as far as the protests during civil rights and really argue, well, did they even do anything? TNT Auto Detailing says, but Lucas, there's always those people. But. That's what it is. So he tries to vilify the black man. That's what he attempts to do. That the black man needs to be going out and marching and protesting with the black woman when it comes to these Black Lives Matter. Listen. No, the fuck we do not. No, we don't. If you could have listen, I want you to understand this. All those fucking non-blacks who are out there with the Black Lives Matter, okay? Ask them to lend you some of their resources, some of their capital, and we'll see who's really about the shits. Ask them to lend you some of their power, and then we'll see who's really for the cause. There were celebrities and everything. Okay. Can we use your house to organize? Do you have any funds to use so we can buy up this block? Do you know any lawyers or attorneys where you can help us establish certain companies or LLCs or understand or educate us on these issues? Well, I don't know about that. I just listen. No, not at all, bruh. Not fucking at all. All right. And a lot of these mofos during the summer of 2020 were fucking white liberals. All right. Who work as a Starbucks or a teacher, some type of professor or profession. Hey, you're a teacher, right? Will you be willing as far as to take time on the weekends to teach a class about, as far as, I don't know, return on investment, or maybe an intro class on stocks? Free of charge? Would you be willing to do that? I appreciate you going to the protest, but could you actually do this the weekend? What time? I could be busy. I would like to help you, and I'm definitely for the movement. Black Lives Matter to me, but do not conflate virtue signaling for progress. Don't conflate. One of the things that hit me was don't ever conflate movement for progress. That's what they allowed you to do. That's what they've allowed you to believe. Moving for progress. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're progressing. And in order for you to progress, you have to have a fucking destination. You could be moving back and forth. You could be moving in a circle. You could be moving up and down. That does not mean you're progressing. Do not conflate those two. So I don't give a fuck how many people were out there protesting. If you can unify over a protest, then you can unify over some resources. How about that? Once you start talking about resources, then these motherfuckers get funny with it. Then they start to get iffy with it. That's when their hands start to tremble. Well, let's work on this fucking wealth and power. Let's see if we can, as far as unify. Because there were so many people who were unifying over George Floyd, right? So many people, right? Oh, this is horrible. All these protests. Okay, well, let's see if we can funnel those protests into something that's actual fucking tangible for the black race. If you agree, this is horrible what's happened to black people, and it seems to be negatively impacting black communities more than any other group, okay, then great. If you agree with that, fine, great. Let's see how we can funnel your skills, okay? Your skills for our betterment, okay? How about that? Because these mofos have skills. Best believe they have skills. Best believe. And if you don't have skills, one thing that as far as many of these non-white, non-blacks have, is social networks. How many people you come across have a fucking, I don't know, they're a barista or some shit, but their social network, whether it's their family, their uncle, their cousin, their friends of friends, that's what they have. So they can work those dead-end jobs and not worry about anything. Because at the end of the day, they can always go back home to mommy and daddy. At the end of the day, they can always go back home. They have the luxury of, you know what, I want to find myself. That's a luxury. What do you mean? Well, I want to take a few years off and find myself. I'm sorry, what? I beg your pardon?
I beg your pardon?
What the fuck you mean, find yourself? They have that safe haven. They have that fucking safety net right there. That's not the same. So, if they don't have any skills, and even still with the barista, depending if they're a good one, they meet people. They don't have any skills as far as making coffee. Making coffee is still a skill. Now, how useful it is, that's debatable. But you still have a social network. So we can't tap into your skills. Allow us to tap into your social network. And tap into your social network of people who may have skills that may be beneficial to the group. That's when they really start get iffy. They'll be like, well, I don't know anything. I don't do anything. Well, I don't do anything. I'm just working here. Well, who do you know? What does your father do? What does your mom do? What's your cousins? We're looking for someone in this field, this industry. Do you know anyone that is? Well, I have a cousin, but I haven't spoken to my cousin in so long and blah, blah, blah. That's when the excuses start to happen. So when you actually start to make some change or actually push for change, significant change, right? Because that's another thing. Change in and of itself is fucking meaningless. Okay? Change in and of itself is fucking meaningless. You can change the president. That doesn't change fucking anything, right? Yes, technically it's a change. How does that change your life? It hasn't. They can change the street sign. They can change the roads. Is it a change? Sure. But is it an impactful change in regards to the wealth and power of black? That's at the end of the day, that's the only thing that fucking matters. The change that's being made, is it having an impact on the wealth and power of black Americans? That's it. Anything else? Fucking I don't care. I don't care. But we're going to hear what he's talking about. Where's the audio? I think I have it on mute. Let me unmute.
Sit back watching ESPN or playing your video games and sending your woman out there to go and march and protest and fight for voting rights, registering voters, out here protesting. The majority of the Black Lives Matter marchers were black women and white kids, while our black men sat back and killed each other, falling into this trap.
Majority of the Black Lives Matter protests, marches, were black women and white kids. First off, that should tell you something. Where there is no men, there is no change. Where there are no men, there is no change. Not to be sexist, historically speaking, and even presently, that's what it is. That should tell you something. If that's what you believe, that majority of these protests and marches were black women and white kids, then we have a problem, right? Then we have a problem. I don't know what to tell you. Those protests and march were meaningless. In fact, the white Republicans used those protests and march to malign and belittle black Americans, despite much of the protests being comprised of white liberals who caused the damage. Black people aren't gonna fucking destroy their own neighborhood. You may have an issue with a nigga down the block, but you ain't gonna burn the whole block up. What the fuck? So that's not, especially not something that you use. Why would you destroy the supermarket that you go to? Why would I destroy the liquor store that I go to? Why would that make sense? Unless A, you're not of the neighborhood, and B, you have no attachment to it. Mofos will destroy your neighborhood. Absolutely, they'll destroy it in a heartbeat because it's not. They don't live there. They have no attachment to it. But this is absolute nonsense. Because what he should be saying is we need to stop protesting and marching. Because all that did was give, as far as the white conservative, ammo. That gave them ammo. Because they don't care. They don't care as far as who was at the Black Lives Matter marches. They don't care who was causing the destruction. That's just merely ammo to malign black people. And that ammo was provided by white liberals. That ammo, notice this, check this out. Much of the ammunition that white Republicans use is provided to them by white liberals. Notice that. If you look at all the stupid talking points that white Republicans use, well, look at this. Everything. Look at, they're doing anti-white. Who provided them that talking point? Psst. Psst. Here, take it. The white liberal. Black people would never talk about anti-white. What are you talking about anti-white? This country is impossible to be anti-white. It's impossible to be anti-white. It has never been anti-white. And it sure as hell, if anything, wasn't black people who were anti-white. Black people just wanted to be, as far as pro-black. Black people just wanted to, hey, can we do our own thing? Even after slavery, you would think there would be fucking mass fucking executions of fucking white people. I want you to think about that. When they start using these fucking talking points of anti-white, think about that shit. After slavery, you would think, right? Fuck these motherfuckers. You would think there'd be a mass revolt, fucking beheadings, white people in the street. Just under, right? I want you to think about that. You had hundreds and hundreds of years, torture, and your fucking chains, being dehumanized. You weren't even granted your humanity. You were seen as fucking property, fucking chattel. What did black people do as soon as they were out of slaves? How do we get our shit together? How do we build this thing? They didn't give us not a goddamn thing. They didn't give us anything. Nothing. Did we go back into the white communities and start burning this shit down? And start shooting them in the streets and everything? Nope. Nope. No hatred, right? No hatred. We were focused. I want you to think about that. That's crazy to me. Because I would imagine if somebody cuts me off, I'm liable to, and I see them in the store. Are you the motherfucker that cut me off? Now imagine being enslaved. Your children being enslaved. Families broken apart, torn apart. Women raped. Your men raped. Children raped. And seeing that and experiencing that. Told you're nothing. And you want to tell me you don't take any revenge? Whew. Now I'd be curious how much of that is actually planted in them from, hey, for forgiveness. You know, the same shit that they teach us now? I wonder how much of that was actually implanted in them. Well, you have to forgive, okay? You forgive your debtors, right? You forgive those who have wronged you. Okay? Right? I'm just curious. I'm just thinking. How much of that was actual forgiveness? The same thing that they bring up now. Amber Geiger. Well, we have to forgive. We have to forgive. You have to understand. We have to forgive. We have police is shooting you like animals. We have to understand. They're only human. They're only human. When have you ever heard the media use that excuse for a black victim? I'll wait. When have you ever heard the media use that excuse for a black victim? Especially the right-wing media. They'll be more than happy to talk about how law enforcement, well, they're only human, okay? They're human at the end of the day. They make mistakes. Will they apply that same charitability to the black victim? Not a fucking chance. Not a chance. So the faster you remove this belief of kumbaya, the faster we can get shit popping off. The faster we can make shit happen. And listen, let the Sambos do what the fucking Sambos are gonna do. Sambos didn't disrupt black businesses and black America back in the day, and they sure can't fucking now. Okay? They sure can't fucking now. Understand that. There'll always be these fucking talking heads. There'll always be these fucking puppets that have been utilized by the dominant society. Always. You're not going to stop that. That's never going to change. Okay? That's never going to change. Because one thing you have to understand, there's never going to be a chance of acceptance. That's what people need to understand. There is no acceptance. You do this, they'll complain about this. You do that, they'll complain about that. You did this other thing, they'll complain. That you're missing the point. The point is to make sure that you never attain wealth and power, because they already stripped it from you. They never, as far as giving black people wealth and power, never. Never. Everyone else, 100%. That has never been the case. So don't expect them to report favorably upon you doing favorably. Don't ever expect that to happen. And in the rare cases that it does, it's always for their benefit. For their benefit. Any mofo you see on the media, any black person you see on the media, it's always for the benefit of the white liberal or the white conservative. At the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's always promoting and propagating the white liberal or the white conservative. Always. You will not be on TV or any platform without doing that. Of anything of significance. They won't allow it. They won't allow it. Because what do they have to gain from it? What do they have to gain from black people having wealth and power? Fucking nothing. All they have is to lose. All they have is to lose. So unless, the joke as far as 1 for you, 1 for me, 2 for me, they take 2 and they give you 1. That's how that game has worked. That's how it's played. 3 for me, they take 3 and they give you 1. That's how that works. That's how that works. So if you understand this, then fine. It is what it is. It is what it is. But you have to understand. You have to understand this. If you don't understand this, then you're just a fucking pawn. You're either a player or a pawn at the end of the fucking day. Those are the facts. You're either a player or a fucking pawn at the end of the day. Those are the fucking facts. Niggas who don't know or don't want to know, they are pawns. They are pawns. And they will always and forever be used as a pawn. They'll be used for the benefit and the betterment of someone else, of another group of people. If you look at many of the black conservatives, that's why they're so very much hated. They are pawns for white conservatives, for the dominant society. They are used for the benefit and the betterment of everyone else but their group, because they don't associate with their group. That group mentality, the collective that everyone else has, that has been stripped from them. They have been broken down. They have been integrated. Remember when we talked about integration? They have been integrated. They see no difference. Okay, that person's a pawn. I can use that person. Why wouldn't I? And that's how that works. But let's continue on.
They have set for us by failing us in our education system, bringing in guns and sending out the jobs. And you chumps are going forward like a bunch of suckers. And you're supposed to be cool. You're supposed to be the man. No, you ain't no man. Ain't nothing. You's a punk. Until you stand up and fight for your women, stop sending them out there, turn the TV off, go out there with them, sit down, stand up, everything our black sisters need and our families, give it to them. Otherwise, brothers, you don't matter.
Amen. I'm sorry. When have black men not stood up for their women? This is white supremacist propaganda. This is white supremacist propaganda they've used to divide. This is white supremacist propaganda. What are you talking about? Go outside and stand up for your women. I beg your pardon? What are you talking about, bruh? First off, we shouldn't even be protesting. That's not how power it works. Okay, let me give you one thing I was thinking of. Listen, the person without power protests. The person with power makes a phone call. I'm going to repeat that to you again. The person without power, without wealth and power, protests. The person with wealth and power makes a phone call. I'm just saying. No, we should not be out there protesting. Abso-fucking-lutely not. If you want to protest, you can use that protest and use it as a funnel. Use it as a funnel to pool your resources for a goal, for a destination. That's what that is. That's what should be happening. For a destination. There needs to be a destination. That's one thing Dr. Anderson talks about. There hasn't been any fucking plan. There's been no destination. There's been no destination. What's the fucking destination? What are you looking to do? Now, thankfully, we have the destination, of reparations and whatnot. People can work towards that 100%. 100%. And I find it interesting how people want to talk about, well, I wasn't a slave. I wasn't a slave owner. That has nothing to do with it, bro. You benefited from it. This country benefited from it. It is what it is. You redistributed the resources to everyone but black people. Any resources that black people have, we had to fight for. It wasn't given to us. We're the only group of people who it wasn't given to. Listen to what the fuck I'm saying. The only group of people who it wasn't given to. They weren't given land to black people. You were a white person, had enough slaves, you were getting land. You were granted land. Okay? They didn't give anything exclusively to black people. We started out with nothing. And had to watch everyone else benefit from what their father's father, mother's mother, their ancestors did. And despite that, still made shit happen. Imagine building a building. You building a building and knowing that you won't be able to enter it. That's some cold shit. Imagine you building a building and know you won't be able to enter it. Forget own it. You won't even be able to enter it. You won't even be able to look through the window. You may even get into trouble walking by it. That's some cold shit, bruh. But this was some nonsense. This was some absolute nonsense. Once again, when it comes to BLM, once you start looking into the hustle that BLM was, you start to see. Now, what did BLM do? BLM gave ammo to who? The white conservative. BLM gave ammo to who? The white conservative. And who gave him that ammo? The white liberal. The white liberal. Okay? That's what happened. White liberal gave ammo to the white conservative. Who benefits from all of this? Who benefited from all of this? Was it us? Nope. Nope. That bitch is up in the fucking mountain somewhere around white people. Around white people. That's also what you have to understand. You have some hustlers within the community as well. People who love to make money off of the downtrodden. Won't do anything, but they'll love to make money off it. So they've used as far as the system, but to the detriment of their own. No better or worse than the white liberal, than the black conservative or the black liberal. Those mofos, the black faces, all right, the conservatives, they're making money, but at what cost? To the detriment of their own. But they don't see it that way because they detach themselves from their own because they've been integrated. It's free labor. Many of these black conservatives, free labor. It's free labor. I want you to understand, it's slavery going on right before our eyes. It's a minstrel show. That's what they are. Free labor. To an extent. Technically, yes, they're not free labor because they're being paid. But if you can pay a nigga a few $100,000 or whatever, and what you get in return vastly outweighs what you're paying them, then in some cases it is free. If you pay someone, I don't know, I'm gonna pay you, $50, but I know upon me paying you $50, I'm gonna get $500,000 in return. Nigga, you are free. If you, from a business standpoint, nigga, you free. $50 and I get $500,000. So that's heavily dependent on the investment. If I can play some fucking, some Sambo, even $100K. If I know I'm getting millions from paying this Negro $100K, nigga, you free. You are free. You're a golden goose. That's what you are. Now, to the Negro that's making the $100K or whatever he's making, they think, oh, wow, I'm making big money. But they don't understand they're being used as a pawn. And they're being used as a pawn in a system that's irrevocably going to harm them in the end. In the long run, it's going to harm them. And their children's 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 children. Unless they too are integrated into the system. Integration, once again, like I said, tolerance is not acceptance. Just because you live around white people doesn't mean anything. As we see with T.O. We saw with Terrell Owens. That doesn't mean anything. Tolerance is not acceptance. So you're living a fucking facade. You're literally living within the matrix. Now, to some of these niggas, they fine with that. They content with that. They content with that. I don't mind. Those are lost niggas. There's nothing we can do about them. Those are lost boys. It is what it is. We're going to lose. We are going to lose some. Like just during slavery. Some mofos, once they've been a slave, they didn't know anything but slave. They're lost, unfortunately, but we're going to have to let them go. You can't save everyone. Let the lost boys be lost boys. It's like, it is, I'm sorry, you're too broken down. You have been too broken down mentally to be any use to your people. You are too broken down mentally to be of any use, any value to your people. You are a forever pawn. Unfortunately, if we had gotten to you earlier, maybe. But right now, you are a forever pawn. The best thing you can do is just shut your mouth. That's the best thing you can do. Or provide everyone with coffee or something. Go to the store and get some paper. But that's the extent, bruh. That's the extent. Not everyone needs to be on the front lines anyway. Then that's fine as well. Now, I missed a super. Give me a second. But I want people to understand what he's saying is just nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense. And it's a shame that he's saying that, because this whole concept of black men not protecting black women, I don't know where that came from. I would argue, once again, white supremacist talking point. Anything that is used to aim to divide black people, black Americans, from attaining wealth and power, 100%. You can't attain wealth and power if the black woman believes the black man doesn't have her back. Because then there's no cohesion, right? There's no unity. Understand that. That's how you can very easily decipher whether or not, whether you're using a white supremacist talking point, or whether you're being an aid or supplement to white supremacy. Is what you are saying or doing, the action you're doing, performing, speaking, talking, whatever it is it going to benefit itself or lend itself to the benefit of wealth and power for black Americans? You talking about black women or black men not being present for black women, not only is it not true, right? Because if it's true, then you can go about it. If it's true, then you can handle stuff within family, right? And there's means to go about that. But that has never been true. That has never been the case. From what I'm reading, what I've been exposed to thus far, that has never in history of black America been the case where the black man has abandoned the black woman. That has never been the case. I would argue a lot of this stems from the fucking white liberal. The white liberal woman who in many cases has infected the black woman. Now, I'm still reading up on my feminism.